On the fourth time around, Logan told her to give up and double park in front of Chalmers' flat. Watson jumped out into the wet night, splashing between two parked cars to the pavement, the rain bouncing off her peaked cap. Logan followed, cursing as a puddle engulfed his shoe. He squelched his way to the tenement door, a dark brown, featureless slab of wood set back behind an elaborate architrave, though the carved woodwork was so heavily coated in years of paint that little detail remained. A steady stream of water splattered off the pavement to their left, the downpipe from the guttering cracked halfway up. Watson squeezed the transmit button on her radio, producing a faint hiss of static and a click. "Ready to go," she said, her voice low. "Roger that. Exit from the street is secure." Logan looked up to see Bravo 7-1 idling at the far end of the curving street. Bravo 8-1 confirmed that they were ready too, watching the Rosemount Place end, making sure no one was going to do a runner. Bucksburn Station had loaned Logan 2 patrol cars and a handful of uniforms with local knowledge. The officers in the cars were doing a lot better than the ones on foot. "Check." The new voice sounded cold and miserable. It would be either P.C. Milligan or Barnett. They'd drawn the short straw. The road backed onto another curved avenue of tenements, the back gardens sharing a high dividing wall, so the poor sods had to climb over the back wall from the adjoining street, in the dark and the mud, in the pouring rain. "We're in position." Watson looked at Logan expectantly. The building didn't have an intercom, but there was a row of 3 bells on either side of the doorway, the buttons clarted round the edges with more brown paint. Little labels sulked beneath them, each one giving the name of the occupant. Norman Chalmers was written in blue biro on a square of bloated cardboard sellotaped over the name of the previous owner. Top floor right. Logan stepped back and looked up at the building. The lights were on. "Okay." He leaned forward and rang the middle buzzer, the one marked Anderson. 2 minutes later, the door was opened by a nervous man in his mid to late 20s, big hair and heavy features, with a large bruise riding high on his cheekbone. He was still dressed from work, a cheap grey suit, the trousers all shiny at the knee, and a rumpled yellow shirt. In fact, most of him looked rumpled. His face went pale when he saw W.P.C. Watson's uniform. "Mr. Anderson," said Logan, stepping forward and sticking his foot in the door. "Just in case." Yes?" The man had a strong Edinburgh accent, the vowels going up and down in the middle. "Is there a problem, officer?" He backed off into the airlock, his scuffed shoes clicking on the brown and cream tiles. Logan smiled reassuringly. "Nothing for you to worry about, sir," he said, following the nervous young man into the building. "We need to speak to one of your neighbours, but his bell doesn't seem to be working," which was a lie. A weak smile spread across Mr. Anderson's face. "Oh, okay, yeah." Logan paused. "If you don't mind my saying so, that's a nasty bruise you got there." Anderson's hand fluttered up to the swollen purple and green skin. I walked into a door." But he couldn't look Logan in the eye as he said it. They followed Mr. Anderson up the stairs, thanking him for his help as he disappeared inside his first-floor flat. "He was hell of a nervous," said Watson when the door latch clicked shut, the deadbolt was driven home, and the chain rattled into position. "Think he's up to something?" Logan nodded. "Everyone's up to something," he said. "And did you see that bruise? Walked into a door, my foot. Someone's belted him one." She stared at the door. "Too scared to report it?" "Probably. But it's not our problem." The faded stair carpet gave out at the middle floor. From here on up, it was bare wooden boards that creaked and groaned as they climbed. There were 3 doors on the top landing. One would lead up to the communal attic, one to the other top-floor flat, but the third belonged to Norman Chalmers. It was painted dark blue, and a brass number 6 had been fixed just below the peephole. W.P.C. Watson flattened herself against the door, keeping herself and her uniform out of the line of sight.